Hi, I'm Lori, and I'm going to demonstrate an Ohio pre-service pre-trip inspection on a Thomas C2 conventional bus. During your pre-trip, you must point to or touch every part you talk about in order to receive credit. Okay, as I approach the bus, I'm looking to make sure it's not leaning from one side to the other, which could be caused by a flat tire or a broken spring. I also did not see any hazards around the bus or under the bus, such as people, other objects, and underneath there I'm also looking for any fresh puddles of fuel, oil, or coolant, which could mean a leak. Up top, the reflective tape is not ripped or torn. The 3 amber clearance lights, the 2 amber and 2 red student warning lights, the 2 amber turn signal 4-ways, and the 2 clear headlights with the inside reflectors are all screwed to the bus, not broken, cracked, or missing. The hood latch is not ripped or torn, screwed to the bus. This hood latch the same. Okay, the hood is up. I'm checking for any cracks or damage to the hood. The hood cables are not broken or missing. The hood hinges are bolted to the frame and not bent or twisted. None of the wires are bare, broken, or frayed. Inside here I have my fuses. Check to make sure they are not loose or missing. And if there's circuit breakers, I check them as well. I would carry any spares or extras in my first aid kit. On the top of the engine, I'm looking for moisture that could be a leak. None of my hoses are bulging, leaking, cut, or kinked, including my air lines that I will follow down to the area for the air compressor and the power steering pump. Those parts are both gear driven. The air compressor is not leaking air or oil. The power steering pump is not leaking oil, and those parts are also bolted to the engine. I'm going to check the oil and transmission fluid dipsticks. They should both read between add and full. I would check the oil daily on a cold engine, the transmission fluid weekly on a warm running engine. My power steering fluid container is secure to the frame with bolts. It is between add and full. The caps are tight and I see no leaks. The steering shaft is not bent or twisted, has no more than 2-inch play. The steering box is bolted to the frame, not cracked or leaking. The pitman arm, drag link, upper and lower steering arms, and the tie rod are all secure with castle nuts and cotter pins. None of those parts are bent. The front and rear suspension mount, it's back there, are bolted to the frame, not cracked or loose. The leaf springs are not cracked, shifted, or missing. They are secure with 2 U-bolts and 4 nuts. The U-bolts are not cracked or loose. The upper and lower shock mounts are secure with bolts. The shock is not twisted, bent, or leaking. The brake hose is not bulging, leaking, cut, or kinked. The ABS wire is secure to the brake hose, and it is not bare, broken, or frayed. The brake chamber is not cracked, dented, or leaking air. The slack adjuster and push rod are secure with a lock nut and pin. With the brake released, I should not be able to pull the push rod more than 1 inch. To check the brake lining, I'm going to look through the sight hole. I'm checking in there to make sure that the drum does not have any grease or oil in it, and that the brake lining is not worn dangerously thin. The inner and outer sidewalls of your tire are free from abrasions, bulges, and cuts. The tread depth is no less than 4/32. It's wearing evenly, and there are no recaps on the front. The valve stem is centered on the rim. The metal cap is tight. I do not hear any air leaking. I would use a pressure tire gauge to check the pressure, but I do not have one, so I will just visually inspect for a lower flat tire. I can see the drum here and it is not cracked. There are no cracks or illegal welds on the rim. All of the lugs, nuts, and bolts are present and tight. No rust trails to show looseness. The hub oil seal cap is not leaking. There's no puddle on the rim or a splash pattern on the wheel. The mud flap is not ripped or torn. It is bolted to the bus. Now I walk over to the passenger side, or the right side. My coolant is between add and full. The cap is tight. Container is securely bolted to the bus. I see no leaks. I'm going to follow this back to the turbo housing, which is right in there. The turbo housing is not cracked or leaking. The alternator and water pump are bolted to the engine, and they are both belt driven. The water pump is not leaking water. The alternator's wires are not bare, broken, or frayed. The serpentine belt is not ripped or frayed and has no more than 1/2 to 3/4 inch play when pushed on. The washer fluid container is bolted to the frame. The cap is tight. I see no leaks. There is an adequate level. I would check my suspension parts. The front and rear suspension mounts, they are not cracked or loose. They're bolted to the frame. The leaf springs are not cracked, shifted, or missing. They are secure with 2 U-bolts and 4 nuts. U-bolts are not cracked or loose. The upper, trying to get a shot of it. The upper and lower shock mounts are secure with bolts. The shock is not bent or twisted or leaking. The brake hose is not bulging, leaking, cut, or kinked. The ABS wire is secured to the hose. It is not bare, broken, or frayed. The brake chamber is not cracked, dented, or leaking air. The slack adjuster and push rod are secure with a lock nut and pin. With the brake released, I should be able to pull the push rod no more than 1 inch. Look through the sight hole on the back side here to check the lining. Make sure it's not worn dangerously thin and that I see no grease or oil inside. The tires, inner and outer sidewalls, are free of abrasions, bulges, or cuts. Tread depth is no less than 4/32. It's wearing evenly and no recaps. The brake drum is not cracked. The valve stem is down here this time. The metal cap is on. It's tight. I hear no leaks. I would use a tire gauge to check the pressure, but I don't have one, so I will just visually inspect for a lower flat tire. The rim is not cracked and does not have illegal welds. All of the lugs, nuts, and bolts are present and tight. I see no rust trails that could be mean looseness. The hub oil seal cap is not leaking. There's no puddle on the rim or splash pattern on the wheel. Okay, now I'm going to put the hood down. Okay, the hood is down. This hood latch is going to secure this side of the hood. Now I'm going to grab my mirror brackets, all 4 of them. Check your mirrors as you're going. My mirror brackets are bolted to the bus, and none of my mirrors are broken or missing. Secure this hood latch. Okay. The battery box. The batteries are secure in their tray with a bracket. I see no moisture or corrosion that could be a leak. The cables are tight. Underneath, I have my storage tank. It is not cracked or leaking air. It is secure with brackets to the frame. And the air hoses are not bulging, leaking, cut, or kinked. It is secure in its bracket. Bracket is secured to the bus. When I open it up, the 2 red lenses on the outside and the 2 red lenses on the inside are not broken, cracked, or missing. They are screwed to the sign. The air bladder or bag is not cracked or leaking. The retraction cable is not broken, and none of the wires are bare, broken, or frayed. Moving on to my amber front, center, and red rear clearance lights, and my amber turn signal and 4 ways. They are screwed to the bus, not cracked or missing. None of my windows are broken or missing. My reflector is not broken or missing. Now I'm going under the bus. Oh, sorry, had my hand in the way. During your pre-trip, you are not required to get underneath the bus. I'm only doing this so that I can show you the parts. The drive shaft is not bent or twisted. Joints are tight. Safety hangers are in place. It is secure with carrier bearings to the frame. The frame, cross members, and floor are not bent or twisted. I see no excessive rust that could be a hole. The exhaust is on the other side of the drive shaft from the engine to the tailpipe. The joints are tight. I see no rust that could be a hole or soot, and it is secure with brackets to the frame. Okay, in the back, we have the front suspension mount. It is bolted to the frame, not cracked or loose. The leaf springs are not cracked, shifted, or missing. They are secure with 2 U-bolts and 4 nuts. The U-bolts are not loose or cracked. The shock absorber is back between those tires and the frame. I will talk about that from the back side. The brake chambers, you see there's 2. So the brake chambers are not cracked, dented, or leaking air. The brake hose is not bulging, leaking, cut, or kinked. The ABS wire, it's the little skinny one there in the middle, is not worn or frayed. The slack adjuster and push rod, if you look over there, you can see them just right there. It's kind of dark, but it's over there on the back side of the brake chambers. Slack adjuster and push rod are secure with a lock nut and pin. With the brakes set, they should be at a slight 90-degree angle. With the brake released, I should be able to pull the push rod no more than 1 inch. Again, I would look through the sight hole on the rim, on the backing plate, to check that there is no grease or oil laying in the drum and that the brake lining is not worn dangerously thin. I can see that there is no debris between the Bud type wheels, and there's no gap between the rims. Okay, the tires, we're going to check them the same as we did in the front. The inner and outer sidewalls are free of abrasions, bulges, and cuts. The tread depth in the rear can be no less than 2/32 and wearing evenly on both tires. Both rims back here, we're checking for cracks or illegal welds. All of the lugs, nuts, and bolts are present and tight. I see no shiny threads that could indicate looseness. The valve stems are here and here. Their metal caps are tight. I hear no leaks. I would use a tire gauge to check the pressure, but I don't have one, so I'm just going to visually inspect for a lower flat tire. The mud flap is secure to the bus, not ripped. Okay, and back in here is the airbag. We're going to get a better view of that from the back of the bus. Okay, at the back of the bus, my reflective tape is not ripped or torn. The 3 red clearance lights, the 2 amber and 2 red student warning lights, the 2 amber turn signal 4-ways, the 4 red tail light brake light, and the 2 clear reverse lights. Also, my 2 red reflectors, they are all screwed to the bus, not broken or missing. The windows are not broken or missing. Their seals show no signs of leaks. When I open the door, the inside light and buzzer should come on. Open it all the way. In the lock position. The bar is not broken or twisted. The hinges are not bent or twisted. The door opened easily. I see no trip hazards. And you can check your window seals and your door seal for any signs of leaks. They are not ripped or torn. When I close the handle, light and buzzer go off. Underneath the back, you get a good shot of the fuel tank. It is not leaking. It is secure in its cage to the frame. I don't see or smell any leaks. Over here on the side, you get a good view of the airbag. See if I can zoom in. Okay, there's your airbag. It is fully inflated, secure in its top and bottom mounts, not leaking. The shock absorber is just behind it. Upper and lower mounts are secure with bolts. The shock is not bent, twisted, or leaking. Okay. Come around to the fuel door. Fuel cap is tight. I do not see or smell any leaks. Okay, I would check my lights, reflectors, and windows the same on this side as I did the other. My rear tires, inner and outer tires, no less than 2/32 tread depth. No abrasions, bulges, or cuts on the inner or outer tire sidewalls. The rims have no cracks or illegal welds. The valve stems are centered. Their metal caps are tight. I don't hear any leaks. I would use a tire gauge, but I don't have one, so I will just visually inspect for a lower flat tire. None of the lugs, nuts, or bolts are missing. They're all present and tight. The axle seal is not leaking. There's no puddle on the rim or splash pattern on the wheel. If I missed that on the other side, my apologies. You can look right in through here and see that the exhaust, all the joints are tight. I don't see any rust or soot. It's a better shot of the exhaust on this side. Okay, going into the bus, put my stick down. Going into the bus, my door seals and window seals are not ripped, and they show no signs of leaks. My doors move freely. The hinges don't appear to be bent or twisted. My floor tread is screwed to the floor. It's screwed down. There are no trip hazards. My handrails are bolted securely to the bus, not broken or missing. The clear step light lens is not cracked or missing. It is screwed to the bus. My fire extinguisher, 5-pound, tag is up to date, secure in its bracket, needles in the green, fully charged. Up here I have my first aid and body fluid kits. First aid, body fluid. This is absorbent for the mess. Both of those are secure in the overhead compartment and fully stocked. My student mirror is secure in its bracket. Bracket's secure to the bus. The mirror is not broken or missing. When I sit down in my seat, all 7 of my mirrors are adjusted for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the student mirror is 7. My windshield has no cracks, stickers, or obstructions. My driver's seat, when I sat down, I noticed it was bolted to the bolted to the bus. The seat belt is not ripped or torn. Put it on. It clicks. It works. Okay. Going to turn my key. My ABS light should come on and go off. Unfortunately, mine stays on. It's been written up. Okay, I can see that I do not have enough air pressure to do my brake test. So I'm going to start my bus. My bus is in safe start. The brake is set and my gear is in neutral. Okay, I turn on my headlights. My dashboard and gauges light up. I'm going to start on my left. I have my driver's dome light and the rest of the dome lights. They are all working. Their clear lenses are screwed to the bus, not broken or missing. Turn them off. Strobe light, you can see that it lights up. If you want to check that, you have to go to the back and pop the vent to check it that way. My defroster fan, this one shoots at the windshield. It is working on high and low. My air compressor just reached its cutoff of 120. My left side fan is working on high and low. My step heater is working on high and low. The aft heater or the rear heater is working on high and low. I'm going to save these switches till after the brake test. Okay. I'm going to shut my engine off. My headlights are on, that's why it's beeping. I'm going to turn the key back to the right. Okay. This is the CDL brake test. I'm going to release the parking brake. When my gauge settles, I will time it for 1 minute for no more than 2 psi loss, starting now. Make sure you're looking back and forth from the gauge to your timing device. Watch, small clock like I have. Look back and forth. If you move on before the minute is up or they tell you, it will be an automatic failure. Okay, the minute is up. Now I'm going to apply firm pressure to my service brake. Once the gauge settles, I will time it for another minute for no more than 3 psi loss, starting now. Okay, my minute is up. Now I'm going to pump the brake or fan the brake, and the low air warning light and buzzer should come on above 55. You have to make sure you stop when it comes on and tell them precisely when it came on. Okay, they came on at about 70 psi. I'm going to continue to pump the brake, and the parking brake should pop out automatically between 20 and 45. Make sure you tell them when it does. Okay, my brake popped out around 30 psi. I'm going to restart the engine to build the air pressure. Okay, I'm going to check these switches here now. This is the override switch. When you activate that switch, your stop sign comes out and your red lights come on. Okay? You must open the door and then close the door to make sure that that switch is working. And you have to shut that off manually. I did not flip the air switch on my door when I came in, so I have to do that now. Okay. This is the amber student warning lights. You press it once. As long as this green light is on, your system is active. I know it's hard to see, but that amber light is lit means that my amber student warning lights are flashing. When I open the door, the stop sign comes out and the red lights come on. You must close the door to shut them off. You also have that little indicator panel there that will show those lights as well. When I close the door, everything shuts off. And for those of you that don't know, that is just for my camera system to mark the tape. Okay, back to my dashboard. My oil pressure should read between 50 and 80. My oil is there. My water temperature is rising, but not above 220. My speedometer worked on the way here. My volts are between 12 and 14. I have enough fuel for the trip. My air pressure is still building. Okay. My wiper blades are flat to the windshield. They are not ripped or torn. The wipers work on all levels. My air compressor just reached its cutoff of 120. Cycle through all levels of your wipers. Low, high, turn them off, and the washer fluid squirts. You only have to hold that in until you see it come out. My horn is working. There's no more than 2-inch play on a 20-inch wheel. My lighting indicators, my left turn signal on the dash, my right turn signal on the dash, my 4-ways on the dash, and my high beam indicator on the dash are all working. I come over here, my defroster, driver heater defroster, that's my countdown, ignore that. Works on all levels. Okay. Now I'm going to demonstrate my transmission, service brake, and parking brake tests. When I shift to reverse, it moves smoothly. My beeper comes on. Go back to neutral, then to drive. Now I'm going to tug against the parking brake. This is the parking brake test. I'm going to tug against the parking brake. The bus should not move. You want to give it a good rev. The parking brake is holding. The bus did not move. Now I'm going to release the parking brake and pull forward at about 5 miles an hour, and the bus should come to a stop smoothly and not pull. Straighten my wheel out. Move forward. I'm in a parking lot, so I couldn't really get up to 5, but I did not feel it pull to the left or the right. Now I'm going to set my brake put it in neutral, and I'm going to ask the person doing my test to go and check my reverse lights and brake lights. So I'll put it in reverse, ask my examiner to go back and check. They'll open the back door. While they're back there, they can pop the vent and check my strobe light, put that back on. Okay, they've done that. I can put it back in neutral and shut it down. They've also shut my headlights off. For the walk back, you want to tug on your seats. Make sure that they are secure to their frames. That one's latched, it's just kind of loose. Secure to their frames, and the frames are bolted to the floor. When you get to your emergency window, you want to lift the lever. Lights and buzzer come on inside. Window opens easily. Close the lever, lights and buzzer go off. For this style of emergency hatch, turn it to where it says to exit. You can push against it. This one's broken. I can push against it enough to let the lights and buzzer come on and turn it back. Okay, you continue checking the rest of your exits the same way and your seat bottoms the same way till you get to the back of the bus. When you get to the back of the bus, you lift the handle, lights and buzzer come on inside. Door opens easily. When you close the lever, lights and buzzer go off. On your way back up to the front, check your seat backs. Make sure they are all secure. Okay. At this point, you will ask your examiner or OBI to go outside and help you make sure that all of your lights are working. So what you do there is you open the door, you let them out. Turn your key back to on. As soon as they get outside, close the door. Put your headlights on. So now you want to ask them to check your clearance lights. They're on. They'll say yes, give you a thumbs up, whatever their motion is. Amber student warning lights. Hit your switches. Amber student warning lights. Open the door. Red student warning lights and stop sign. Yes, yes, yes. Close the door. Left turn signal on the front and the left side. 4 ways on the front and the left side. Right turn signal on the front. Then you ask them to go to the back and you do the same thing in the back. Clearance lights. Amber student warning lights. Red student warning lights. And stop sign, because there's 2 sides to that sign. Close that. Left turn signal on the rear. Right turn signal. 4 ways. Tail lights. Brake lights. Step on the brake. Ask them to come back up to the door. When they get about halfway up, you open the door and you ask them to check the clearance lights, the right turn signal, the 4 ways, and the step light. That concludes pre-service, pre-trip inspection for Ohio. I hope this helps. Have a great day, guys.